When Okabe said, hit me, to Daru, and then Daru followed up and actually hit him in the face, and you see him raise himself back up, and he had this sinister smile, and then he was laughing, that was a moment I knew Hououin Kyouma was back. And the chills of that scene really hit me, because even though I knew it was going to happen very soon, I think everybody that has been following Steins Gate Zero knew what happened in this episode was eventually going to happen. You know, Okabe was going to finally become what he once was. Hououin Kyouma, a mad scientist, start laughing maniacally, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, he's actually back. Even though we knew that this was going to happen, it's just been a journey, a gradual, slow journey to finally have what happened in this episode happen. And when he started laughing, and you see Maho just like, whoa, what's going on? Like, whoa, and she's just looking around, just shifting her eyes, thinking like, is he doing this? Like, what's going on here? Like, she was acting like, why is he acting so weird right now? And you just see Daru's just crying, getting watery-eyed, and I'm just like, I'm with you, man, I feel you, I'm exactly with you. And Maho's just all confused. I'm like, honestly, it makes a lot of sense why you wouldn't understand, and why you wouldn't realize why we missed this so much, because seeing him act like a chuny, this man acting all mad scientist, it's truly just a treat. It definitely is something that is just the core essence of what Kyouma really is, or Okabe, and he's finally been reborn. He is finally back. It's just a great scene overall, and easily one of my favorite moments of Steins Gate altogether. Like, I'm not talking about Steins Gate Zero, I'm talking about in the entirety of Steins Gate. That scene with Hououin Kyouma coming back, laughing, I'm like, I needed this. I needed this in my life. I needed to see this, because I've been missing our mad scientist. He's always been the sad scientist recently. Actually, let alone not really even being a scientist. Now, being truly a mad scientist, I'm like, he's back. He's back! And this episode felt very short, even though it skipped the opening and ending song, by the way. I was a little bit upset about that, because you'd think with the opening song and ending song being kind of, gone from this episode, that the episode would feel, pretty long. But no, that was not the case. It, progressed pretty quickly, and I was a little bit upset that it ended where it did, especially with the cliffhanger, especially with all the stuff that happened within this episode. So yeah, even though we had a lot of great moments, a lot of build-up, and seeing Hououin Kyouma reborn, that ending happens, and Convergence is something that always is given a middle finger to, Kyouma. It's always been a big thing since the very beginning of the series. Ever since what happened with, Mayuri, Convergence, Time Convergence, and all that, it's always just like giving Kyouma big L's. I want to talk about what Kyouma had to go through, and what it really meant to time leap 3,000 times. So, at first glance, 3,000 times, that's a lot, yes. And it is a lot, regardless. I mean, that's a large number. But you gotta factor in that with all the time leaps, how draining that could be on your psyche as a person. Think about it like this. You go back in time to try to change something, like, you're in Kyouma's shoes, and you go back, let's say, a full 2 weeks, and then you have to redo the entire conversation once again, like, hey, I'm time traveling, I'm going back in time, I know what you're gonna say next, and all of that, prep it up, get ready to take me back. And then obviously everybody that hasn't seen you in a long time or thought you were dead are going to get all emotional, start talking to you, and so he's going to have to go through that entire experience probably 3,000 plus times. It's going to be something very unnerving, and that's the main point of what this episode is showing, is that Kyouma, he did something that was truly insane, and it makes you wonder, when he actually got reborn as Hououin Kyouma, did he truly, become mad? Is he truly sane anymore after everything that he had to do? I mean, not counting everything from the original Steins Gate to what he was, going through up to this very point, but when he had to, travel over 3,000 times, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time to do all that, because factor this in. Going back that many years, 2 weeks at a time, and eventually 2 days at a time, yes, just FYI if you didn't understand that, is that he couldn't time travel 2 weeks back to the very beginning. He couldn't do that. So, as he continuously traveled back in time to where he finally had the destined day to die, like 2025, you know, he eventually had to start shifting over into a 2-day time leap. So, you gotta imagine, a 2-day time leap, that's gonna take a lot of leaps just to be able to, once again, get back to 2011, where he was at. So, yeah, there's just so much time he had to waste, or just use, just to be able to get back to where he was at the second half of this episode. So, you gotta imagine the amount of time he had to do. Like, you know, he probably had, like, days probably spent just prepping the time leap machine to go back in the past, because he had to go through all the natural greetings, talking with people. You'd think by that time the man got to around, you know, 1,000 times in, he'd probably be desensitized to anything and just be like, okay, get on to the next part, and just wanted to move on. So it's just, it's crazy to think that the man was actually able to do that time leap that many times, and I don't know the exact math on how long it probably took, factoring in maybe a day to time leap back, you know, 2 weeks or 2 days, but if we factor all of this in, most likely, it could have taken years. I mean, we gotta imagine, he had to go over, like, 20, years or so. He had to go back 20 plus years just to get back to 2011. So, you gotta imagine the time spent going back that far was probably years in real time just going back. So, his mind, his age, he's definitely aged as a person just mentally because of going back that far. He's no longer just a 2011 self. Like, even though he's in the body of his 2011 self, he's aged probably about 20 years, or at least, you know, maybe 5 or 10 years. He's definitely seen a lot, and he got to see the full grasp of what he had to deal with, or what decision he made in this timeline when he decided to say, you know, I'll live with this world line and I'll make it the best it is. He had to see it all himself, even going back in the past. We have Kyouma talking with everybody and setting up for the end game. Like, when he starts talking to, you know, Ferris, or he starts talking to, you know, Ruka, or we see how he talks to Mr. Braun, I was like, whoa. Like, the Mr. Braun stuff really caught me by surprise, because at the end of the episode, when, like, the, you know, the ending part started playing, and you saw how it was revealed that Moeka was actually in the suit, I was like, whoa, this is a twist, because you're not used to seeing Moeka on our side. I've talked about this already when Moeka kind of was helping out Kyouma, but just seeing Moeka on our side is still so unnerving after seeing her one of the main enemies in Steins Gate from the original. And Mr. Braun actually helping out Kyouma and, you know, getting things settled, for instance, you know, actually restraining and dealing with Kagura, that was very, very impressive, by the way, because, I mean, you gotta hand it to Mr. Braun. We always know that the man was very strong. He was definitely someone that could definitely mess some people up if they got in his way. But someone that's a trained soldier like Kagura, someone that could just rip apart soldiers like it's nothing, which we saw a few episodes back, for Mr. Braun to be able to restrain a person like that, that's insane. And it's a lot harder to, let's say, end someone than to restrain them and keep them alive. And that's what he did. He didn't kill Kagura. He actually was able to overpower her and use his strength to be able to pin her down and restrain her. That speaks volumes with how strong that man is. And it really pleased me to see that how he was actually on our side for a change, instead of just being an enemy to kill him and everybody else. I feel like, even though he time leaped 3,000 times, that was probably not his last time he's gonna have to fiddle with time travel, because there's something that many might have forgotten, and I'm wanting to remind you. If you remember in the original Steins Gate, at the end, when Kyouma is about to give up, and, you know, he is given a big slap from Mayuri, and he's given a message, a video message. The video message he gets is from his future self. That's still yet to be made. Think about it like that. We have still yet to see Kyouma make the message for his other self. And let me explain what this means for Kyouma as a character. Our Kyouma we are following in Steins Gate 0. It means he knows that he is not the Kyouma that can save the world. He has to literally give up ever truly seeing the world change, and offer it up to another Kyouma. And so when he makes that video message, that most likely is when he probably finally does die. Because we do know that eventually he will die in 2025. That's a given. That was even stated once again in this episode. That, you know, Kyouma throughout the entirety of, you know, his life, he has always used the fact that he will die in 2025 as to his advantage, because he can't die until then, so he could pretty much get out of any problem he wants. And it was even stated that he would use that all the time. But finally, the world, he was constantly using the rules of the world and convergencies and all of that. He was using that. But now, at 2025, it turned against him, and he no longer could actually run from it. He was in the exact same position as many before him was. For instance, Mayuri, Kurisu, he was in that exact same position. So, because of this, I feel like he's going to realize that he can't run from that fate. That's something that's just going to happen, and he's probably going to have to give up his legacy to someone else. It's not him that's actually going to do it, which I've talked about since the very beginning, and that's probably the saddest part about this entire storyline, is the fact that Kyouma, he's been through so much. He's been through utter hell just to get to the very point he's at right now. Going back 3,000 times, seeing so much, things just get destroyed around him, people dying, and even at the end, he's not going to be the one to finally make everything right. He's not going to be the one to actually get to see it, because that's two different Kyoumas. The Kyouma we have at the end of the series is completely different from the Kyouma in Steins Gate Zero. Two separate people, and so I feel like with the failure that happened at the end of this episode, we're probably going to have once again another time skip. Kyouma is going to live on. He's going to continue living forward with his life, make things a little bit different, and then make a video message to be able to, correct things, which will probably be the finale of the series. That's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming he's going to be just sitting back laughing, and he realizes he's probably about to die or something, and he's going to tell his, his younger self, like, I'll leave it up to you, which would be the, repeat or the message that we saw at the end of the original Steins Gate, which would be cool. That would be a great way to send off this Kyouma, but it would also be a very bittersweet ending if that truly is the case. But I guess let's talk about what Kyouma said. When he first comes back and he looks at Maho, he's like, "Hey, lolly girl, give me my lab coat." I just started laughing, like, did this man legit just call Maho a lolly girl? Like, lolly girl, give me my lab coat. I missed that in my life. I really missed that, just hearing him say something like that. And how she got so upset or offended, she's like, "You better not call me that ever again." And he says it again. I'm like, this is just like that. Christina! It's just like that. And I'm like, oh, I need it. Oh, it's so good. So, as you can see, I'm very happy with this episode, and I was just like a giddy child. But that's about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this week's episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please be honest in the comments below. I am very curious to find out how you felt about this episode. How do you feel about the transformation or the rebirth of Kyouma? Be honest in the comments below, and I love you guys. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.